Starting with review 1. Yesterday, I already went over this top piece with you guys. Any questions on the stuff that I went over with you on the top piece? Numbers 1 and 2. And I will do 3 with you. Yes. Okay. Writing it in vertex form and stating the axis of symmetry. Okay. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. Vertex form, and it's not in vertex form, what's the process called? Okay. Now, all of that's not going to be told to you on the test. So get it in your head right now. When it says vertex form, and it's not in vertex form, what's the process called? Complete the square. What do I do first to complete the square?
Instead of making... Oh, wait.
That's okay. What do I do first to complete the square? Yes. Thank you. Okay, get rid of the 9, move it over to the other side. F of x minus 9 equals x squared minus 6x. And what do I put on each side? Plus, what do we call them? Plus blanks. And then we fill in. Do you guys remember how to fill in the blanks?
Cut the 9.
Half.
The 6 in half.
And then square it. What does that give us?
9.
9 and 9. So f of x. What happens here with the negative 9 plus 9?
Cancel out.
Cancels out. Do you want to put 0 or just leave it as gone? Leave it as gone. Equals. I'm going to put it double bubble up here. What does that come to? X and x plus plus or minus minus?
Minus.
Right here. Good job. Minus minus. And it's minus minus what?
3.
So x minus 3 squared. Typically, what would I do at this point? If there was another constant here, what would I do? Move it over. But is there a constant to move over? So this is it. You're done with vertex form. What is your vertex, by the way? Opposite of the inside, outside stays the same, and there is no outside. So what's your vertex? 3, 0. Now, we talked yesterday about the shortcut for axis of symmetry. It's always going to be what? X equals, do you guys remember the shortcut? Opposite of the inside. So x equals what?
3.
Now, why does it always work that way? When you translate, does the inside of the parentheses tell you the translation right and left? Yes or no? I'm going to repeat that. When you translate, does this inside here tell you the direction you're going to translate right or left? And is it always opposite? So which way would I translate for this one? Right? 3. And there is no translation up or down, and it's opening up. What is the axis of symmetry? X equals what? 3. Do we have to graph it every single time to know that?
No, we don't.
No. Last unit, I made you guys graph it. I said, oh, graph it so you can see. I'm hoping by now that if I give you any parabola in vertex form, and the number in the front has no impact on it, and I said, what is the axis of symmetry without doing any work, what would it be?
Negative 7.
-7. Why? Because that's going to translate left 7, down 3, and the -7 is where your line of symmetry would be. Does that make sense? All right. Questions on 1B? All right. Number 3. Shall we go over number 3? Okay. I really need you guys listening because this is on the test and a lot of kids miss it every year because they just forget. So we're listening, we're paying attention. Thank you. All right. A ball is thrown in the air. The height, h, and feet of the ball can be modeled by the equation, where t is the time in seconds, the ball is in the air. How long does it take the ball to reach its max height? What is the max height? Okay, it always looks something like this. Do you agree? I'm going to put my vertex here. what does the x value of the vertex represent? It's not x, it's what?
T.
T, and what does T stand for? Time. What is the y value of my vertex represent? It's not y, the height. Okay. Typically, in our last test, our last unit, it was written in vertex form. And I was able to say, oh, shift right 3 and up 64. Is this one in vertex form?
So we have to convert it.
Okay, we have two choices. We can convert it to vertex form so that we can find the vertex, or we can just find the vertex. Because we had two ways of finding the vertex. I'm going to repeat that. How many ways did we have to find the vertex? Two. Two ways to find the vertex. What was one way?
Complete the square.
Complete the square. Now, when you complete the square, it gets it to vertex form, and then you do opposite of the inside, outside stays the same. There was another way that was a little easier, that was the last one that we learned, and it was a special formula, axis of symmetry formula. Do you guys remember what it was? X equals. Okay. Now, here's the thing. If they're asking you to put it in vertex form, you definitely want to complete the square. If they're asking you just to find the vertex, you have choices. If they're just asking you to find the vertex, you can either complete the square or negative b over 2a. Which one's easier? This one's easier, especially if it's not in the nice form. Where are we at? You see there's a negative 15 here I would have to factor out. It's going to change things, and it's a lot more work. So I'm going to come back to what I said earlier. When do we complete the square? Not when it says find vertex form, but rewrite. I'm sorry. Not when it says find the vertex, but when it says to write it in vertex form. Write it in vertex form like you did here. Write in vertex form. Did we complete the square here? Yes. If they simply say find the vertex, could you use complete the square if you wanted to? Most definitely. What's easier?
Axis of symmetry.
Axis of symmetry. And since they didn't specify, we have a choice. Would you guys rather complete the square or do the axis of symmetry formula?
Axis of symmetry.
All right, so we're going to do x equals negative b over 2a. What is negative b in this case?
Which b in this case would be 60.
Negative 60 over 2 times, what is a in this case?
Negative 15.
Good job. So I have negative 60 over negative 30. What does x equal?
2.
2. All right. So I'm going to at least set up, actually I'm going to leave it like this for now. Do you guys remember what we do? I didn't say it earlier, but after we find the axis of symmetry, what do? Plug it in. Good job. Plug back into the original. And this here is the original. You'll have calculators on test day. I like to call it y equals negative 15 blank squared plus 60 blank plus 6. How many blanks do I have, or how many places do I have to plug it into?
2.
2. I called it x, but technically what letter am I plugging it in for?
T.
T. So if you want to use T instead, you can. All right, I'm going to work with you step by step. What do I do first? Negative 15 times 2 or 2 squared? Order of operation, what do I do first?
Multiply.
Multiply before I do exponents? Exponents. Okay, so negative 15 times 4 plus, what's 60 times 2? 120. All right. And again, it's not y equals, it's h equals, but you can change it. 15 times 15 is 30. So what's 15 times 4? 60, and if it's negative 15 times 4, it's going to be negative 60 plus 120 plus 6.
Where did the T go?
In the T spot, do you see where these purplish 2's are? That's where the T's were. I took them out and I put 2's in their spot because this is T. All right. What's negative 60 plus 120?
60.
And 60 plus 6, what does the height equal? All right, so I'm going to come back to my ordered pair over here, and I'm going to write it down. What do I put for the time? Is that the 2 or is that the 66? 2, comma, what do I put in for the height? Now let's go and answer the questions. So does this require a little more work than what we did in the last unit? Yeah, the last unit was easy. We just shift, and we were done. This one requires more work, but it's still not that bad. Negative b over 2a, you plug in. All right, 2 comma 66. How long does it take the ball to reach its max height? 2 or 66? 2. 2 what?
Seconds.
2 seconds. What is the maximum height? 2 or 66? 66. 66 what? Feet. All right, so when you're giving these word problems on the test and you're throwing a ball in the air, a rocket is launched in the air, whatever it may be, what do you have to find? And we have multiple ways. What's the easiest one to use in this type of problem? Axis of symmetry, negative b over 2a. Put little notes to yourself, guys. Do this, do that. So when you study, you know what to do. So test day comes, you're good and ready. Was there a question?
Oh, will there ever be like one that's the chart or whatever you call it? What is it called?
The graph?
Yeah, the graph.
Mhm.
It's like if it goes down or something, but the time still increases. So like say you're going underground or something. No.
No, it hits the ground, and when it hits the ground, height is 0. That's it. We don't ever go anything further than that.
Can I bring a ball to make sure my answer was right?
No. Yes. All right. Questions on any of number 4? Anything from number 4? 4, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J? No. Yeah? Where does it go? A, B, C, D, E, F,
Wait, what?
E, F, G, H, I. It's all out of order. Who knows? All right. Yes.
Will you see F or E on our test?
Will we see F or E? Like these? You could. Let me cover this. What is the square root? Let's just, you see how they didn't break down the 18 here? I'm not going to worry about breaking it down. What comes out of there besides breaking down the 18? What comes out for sure? I. Do you guys agree? Yes or no? Is I root 18 the same as negative root 18? No, that is not the same.
Can you do G?
Mm-hmm. And F. All right. This one, again, they didn't break down the 18, so I'm not going to. What's the square root of negative 18? What does the negative come out as? I. So I root 18 equals, what's the square root of negative 1? By definition, that was what we defined as I. So it's I times root 18. Is I root 18 equivalent to I times root 18?
Yes.
Yes. All right. This one, they broke down the root 18, so I'm going to do that now. What's coming out for sure with the negative? What's coming out for sure? I. Let's go ahead and break down the 18. Can anybody tell me what 18 breaks down to? 9 and 2. And 9 is?
3, 2.
Okay, what's coming out? The 3. So with the 3, because it's negative, 3 what? 3i root 2. All right, what's the square root of negative 1? I. So I3, can I write that as 3i? Yeah, right? I times 3 is the same as 3i. And then root 2, true or false? True.
So I would be I would be true too.
Which one?
I.
Oh, yes. Yes and yes. All right, we're good? Okay, let's flip over to the back of worksheet number 1, review number 1, and see if there's any questions there. Any questions on the back, numbers 5 through 25? Yes.
15 and 21.
15 and 21 and 25? Yeah, those are really good ones to go over. I do want to go over, say, number 11, only because I still have a few kids messing up on it. Any questions on anything else between 11, 15, 21, and 25? All right, starting off with 11. I still see kids doing this. Is that correct? No. What markings am I making to do what? Double distribution. Is this a double distribution problem? No. You see that plus sign? That means you're adding like terms. Does the plus sign change anything? No. So what do I do with the parentheses? Drop them is correct. And I simply combine like terms. Drop your parentheses if it's a plus sign and there's nothing to distribute, and combine like terms. What does 4 combine with? And what does that give me? And what does 3i combine with? And what does that combine to? And is it okay if I put the negative 2i before the 2?
No, it's actually.
It's actually not, correct. And I had to mark a few of you guys off on the first quiz. Remember, it's a plus bi, not bi plus a.
Real numbers before.
Real numbers before the imaginary numbers, and that's how you write a complex number. All right, so questions on that. So really quick thinking bubble here. If on the test you did everything correctly, but you write your answer like that, would I mark it wrong? Yes, I would. And you may say, well, it's the same thing. No, remember, the real number before the imaginary number is how you write your complex numbers.
Why is that such a big difference?
It is. All right. 15.
Because she said so.
Okay, is there something to distribute here? Not just a negative, but a negative 3. Now I have kids distribute the negative 3 and still put parentheses and then try to do double distribution. Is this double distribution at all?
No, it's not.
No. After you distribute your negative 3, drop your parentheses. 4 plus 5i minus what? 24 minus what? 6i. Good job. Combine like terms. 4 and negative 24. What is that going to become? Negative 20. And then 5i and negative 6i. Negative 1i or negative I. All right. Questions? Now I have kids like, oh, I is negative 1. Is I by itself negative 1? No, what is it? I squared that becomes negative 1, not just I. I by itself is just I. You leave it in your answer. I is the square root of negative 1, which we write as I. All right. Questions on 11 or 15? All right, I'm moving on to 21. Now, is 21 a double distribution? That is. All right, so we're going to do it. What's 2 times 7? 14. 2 times negative 4i. All right. And then what's the next thing I distribute? Negative 5i times 7 is negative. And then negative 5i times negative 4i is positive or negative? 20 squared. Don't forget it is a square. Do you guys see that? I times I is I squared. All right, let's combine like terms. Are there like terms right here in the middle?
Yeah.
Negative 8 and negative 35 add up to negative 42? 43? Yes?
43.
Negative 43i. All right, now here is where you would mess up. If you just put 20i squared and call it done, it's wrong. Because what is I squared again? So is it plus 20 or minus 20?
Minus.
And if you stopped here, it's wrong. Why? I don't have the I anymore.
You've got the square.
I don't have the I squared anymore because it combine like terms. Good job. I still have like terms to combine. Be careful. What's 14 take away 20? Negative 6 minus 43 I. A lot of A's on this test?
Right, yeah.
Yes.
A's.
That's debatable. I have the answer.
All right, stop. Okay, next one. Shh. Guys, remembering, can we have I in the denominator? No. What do we multiply? It's not 7I. What do we multiply top and bottom by?
I.
Just I. If you do 7I, that's okay. It's just more reducing at the end. All right. Shh. What's the math word there that I'm looking for? Distribute. 15I plus what? Thank you. 3I squared all over what? Okay, and the whole reason we do this is because I squared is what? So 7I squared becomes what? Negative 7. Now, is there anything else that's going to change an I squared at all in this problem?
Yeah.
This right here? 15I plus 3 or minus 3? Because positive 3I squared becomes negative 3. Now here is where on that first quiz that we took some time ago, kids got it wrong because they stopped here and they left their answer this way. Why did I mark it wrong?
Because the negative 3 is supposed to go.
The negative 3 is supposed to go first. Negative 3 plus 15I over negative 7. Negative 3 plus 15I over negative 7. Definite on the test. Questions? No more? All right, let's flip over then to review 2, which was your assignment last night, and see what questions we have on this one. Yes? 6B? D, not B?
Yeah.
All right. Yes. Yes, you may. And yes,
Can you do, whenever I'm on review 2, right?
we're on review 2, yes.
Can you do 7B and F?
Okay, I'm not on the back page yet, so I'm on 1 through 6 right now. So 1 through 6 questions. Does anybody want me to review numbers 1, 2, and 3? The key words. Number 4, which one? A and D. All right. Okay, we are ready. We are listening. Okay. Reveals the minimum value. What's the key word for minimum or maximum? What's the key word for minimum or maximum? Vertex. Vertex form. Which one of these is vertex form? A, B, or C?
C.
C. I will zoom in. Actually, I'll zoom in now. Okay, next one. X-intercepts. Zeros. X-intercepts. Do you remember what the key word? It starts with an F. Factored. Good job. Factored form. Which one of these is factored form? B. So 1 was C, 2 was B. Reveals the y-intercepts. It's either what's left or if you can remember standard form. Standard form is the one where it's ax squared plus bx plus c, and that is A. All right, remember those key words. Vertex, factored form, standard form. Vertex form, factored form, standard form. I need you guys listening. All right, what is the value of C? C is equivalent to your blanks. Find your blank. And how do we find our blanks? We take the middle number, cut it in half, and then, oh, nobody knows? I know, I can tell a lot of you guys are not. We take the middle number. The question is, what is the value of c such that the following function is a perfect square trinomial? You don't want to give it to them? You take it, you cut it in half, and then square it. What's 8 cut in half?
4.
And 4 squared?
16.
So c is 16. So know how to read the problem. Now that you, if you didn't know it already, now that you see it, do you know how to do the rest?
Yes.
Yeah. But you have to know what they're asking. What is the value of c such the following is a perfect squared? C is always that plus blank. Yes.
If this question's on the test, can we like cross out the C and just put?
Yes.
Already know.
Yep. They're going to ask you the type of questions they'll ask you is it'll say find, just like this, find the value of c to fill in, or find the blank, whatever it may ask. And then after you find it, it'll say then factor. So then you'll have to factor in the next step. So you need to understand how to do this. All right. Now, it's specific here. Solve by completing the square and solve by quadratic formula. Is it important to know both of them?
Yes.
Complete the square is where we move and put our plus blanks. Quadratic formula is that special formula that we have all over 2A. All right, are you guys good on this page? I'm going to write the formula down really quick. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared all over 2A. We're good? All right. Complete the square is where we move and put plus blank. All right. I know. I saw it after it happened. All right. Okay. We're good? Back page. Number 7 and 8. It looks like number 8 is review from the first page. And which one did you want to see, Christina? 7?
B and F.
7, B and F?
Yeah.
All right. Any others besides 7, B and F?
At the bottom.
The one that I crossed out? All right. Listen. Solve to determine if each equation has a solution. You may use any method. Okay. Now, if there are 3 terms, I'm going to repeat that. If there are 3 terms, we're going to use our trinomial double bubble. Does this have 3 terms?
No.
No. Does it have multiple x's? I need you guys listening. If there's only 2 terms and there's multiple x's, what kind of factoring is it going to be? GCF. I'm going to repeat that. If there's multiple x's and only 2 terms, it's going to be GCF. What is the GCF? X. And what does that leave me with? X times what is 3x squared? Plus x times what is 5x? Equals 0. 0 product property. X equals 0. And 3x plus 5 equals 0. All right. It didn't ask me to solve. It just said determine if it has a real solution. Is x equals 0 a real solution? Yeah. When I subtract, can anybody do that in their head? Subtract and divide. What do you end up with?
Subtract and divide what?
Subtract the 5, divide the 3. Can anybody do that in their head? Negative 5/3, and x equals 0. Do we end up with real solutions here, yes or no? Solve to determine if each equation has a real solution. Is 0 a real solution?
Yeah.
Is 5/3 or negative 5/3 a real solution? Even root 5 is a real solution. Which ones are the non-real solutions? Imaginary square roots of a negative. So root 5 is a real solution. Root negative 5 is not. So does this end up with a real solution or real solutions? Yes. D?
Oh, you don't have to worry about F anymore. It's the same thing.
Yes. Okay, so really quick, just talking about F. It's the same thing because there's 2 x's. So I'm going to GCF, but what do I have to do first? Get it to the same side. So what do we want the x squared to be positive. So what do we subtract? The 7x. 2x squared minus 7x equals 0. GCF, and see if you end up with real solutions.
Heard a big thud.
Okay, up here.
Is that what it sounded like when I hit the volume?
Yeah, louder. Okay, guys, I want to get this equal to 0, so I'm going to move over the 5. X squared plus 10x plus 5 equals 0. What kind of factoring is that, GCF or trinomial? Is there a GCF? No, this one doesn't have an x. So is there a GCF? Does it look like trinomial? It does. Is there anything that multiplies to 5 that adds up to 10? Multiplies to 5. 5 and 1 are the only factors of 5. Does 5 and 1 add up to 10?
No.
Okay. So does this factor?
No.
All right. Do you remember our list? We try to factor first because that's the easiest. If it doesn't, then complete the square or quadratic formula. Both of them will work in this case because that's even. It's your choice. Do you want to complete the square or do you want to use quadratic? Quadratic? All right. X equals... I know. I'm getting other paper. X, okay, and if you want to complete the square, my personal preference is complete the square before quadratic. Yeah? Complete the square? Okay, x squared plus 10x plus blank equals negative 5 plus blank. I skipped a step, but what did I do to both sides here? I move over the 5 and then I put in my plus blanks. Do you guys see that? Yes? All right. Now, I could complete the square on any quadratic, but it works out the nicest for us in this class when two things happen. This number here is what? 1. It has to be 1. And this number here has to be even. Is it 1 and is it even?
Yes.
Yes, that's why we're doing it. If it's anything other than that, you can, but it's harder, so we just use quadratic. All right, what's the blank? Can you guys help me out? Quickly.
25.
25. Does everybody agree it's 25? Double bubble, x plus and x plus, what is it? 5 equals what? 20. And then I write that as x plus 5 quantity squared equals 20. And then I do what to both sides? X plus 5 equals plus or minus root 20. Because they're not asking me to solve it, they just want me to know if it's a real solution. I can stop here.
Yes.
Is it going to be a real solution, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, it is a real solution. Why? Because it's a square root of a, not an even number, positive. If it was root negative 20, what would I have? What would come out of a root negative 20? An I. And that is not real, that is imaginary. So why is this a real solution?
Because it's positive.
So if I were to subtract the 5, I'd get x equals negative 5 plus or minus root 20, and then I would break it up and continue. I don't have to do all that because they're not asking me to solve. It's just real solution or not a real solution. And yes, it is a real solution because there's no what in here? No square root of a negative, right? No imaginary numbers. Make sense? All right. Any others from this page, or shall we flip over here? Let's flip. 13, 14, 15. Any questions on 13, 14, 15? Select the graph with the correct solution to this. Guys, elimination. This is negative, nope, where am I at? This is positive x squared. Positive x squared opens in which direction? Up. Which one can I cross out?
B and okay.
B. All right. Negative x plus 2. What kind of line, what kind of slope is this? Positive or negative? It's negative slope. Do you see that? So this is positive slope. This is negative slope. Which ones can I cross out? You guys said it's supposed to be negative. So I can cross out A and C. So which one does that leave? D. Do you guys see this? Do you guys remember how to graph this? Y-intercept of 2, and then you go down 1 over 1? That was for math 1. If you've forgotten, should you at least remember positive slope and negative slope? Yes, positive slope, you walk uphill from left to right, and negative slope, you walk downhill from left to right. Positive slope, negative slope. Are we good? All right. We are continuing. Do you guys need me to do 14 and 15? Yes or no? All right. Take a look at this one, guys. It's graphed for you. You don't have to do anything but know how to read it. What do we know about solutions? It's when two graphs do what? When they equal each other, what do the two graphs do? There's a word I'm looking for. It starts with an I.
Intersect.
Intersect. Do these two graphs intersect?
No.
What does it mean? Do they have any solutions? No. So A, B, C, or D says that there is no solution. D. Do you see how easy that was? All you had to do was to what? Know how to interpret the graph. They never intersect, therefore there's no solution. All right. How many solutions does this one have?
2.
2. It's really hard to read, but you can see it. This one here is what?
5.
5. And this one over here is 0. So which one has not just 5 or not just 0, but 0 and 5? C. Okay, again, it's knowing how to read or interpret the graph. Questions? All right, the back page. Questions? Questions from the back page. 16. The graph of the quadratic is y equals f of x. Shown the points B3 and C3. Okay, what does the 3 represent? X or y? Y. 1, 2, 3. It's right here. You do not need a ruler. I'm just going to do it to quickly show you. Okay, it goes, intersects here and there. Do you agree those are the two places where my graph is 3? Yes or no? I go right 3 and then left 3. Do you agree? Okay, let's do this one. This one here is between what two x values? It's between -2 and -1. And I shouldn't write it like that. We'll say between -2 and -1. What about this one over here? What two x values is it between? Between 1 and 2. All right, so which one has that? Here's between 1 and 2, between -2 and -1. Is that it? Yes or no? All right, so you go to your whatever y value they give you, you go up and over, find your 2 points on your graph, drop down to find either what x value it is on or what x values it's between. Those of you that took the SBAC, did you see something like this on there? Yeah? All right. Okay, guys, really quick. Determine the equivalent function to this in vertex form. I've already given you keywords. If they ask you not for the vertex, but vertex form, what's the key word?
Complete the square.
Thank you. Complete the square. That's the plus blanks. Got it? Does it say it? Oh, hint. I don't know that hint will be given to you on the test. So that's what I'm trying to get you to remember. All right. Get the packet done. Get the packet done.